Is there anyone here online to represent the applicant? Looks like no one's present. If they come, we'll have to address that. I think we just move on to the next.
Yeah, it's just a variance, can only we comment on special exceptions, certainly, for informational purposes, certainly fine, you can always comment to the zoning hearing board, but normally we do it on special exceptions where they have to get a report, but this is just a variance. Just
Okay.
FYI, just FYI.
Okay, so they're asking us for interpretation. I thought
So-
they would be here to.
Yeah, so it goes in front of the zoning hearing board, but it comes, these matters usually come in front of the planning commission. So if you have any comments that you
Right.
want to have forwarded over to zoning. So this applicant's been going through land development, they have not gotten approvals yet, so they taken a step back, they're going through to get these zoning variances. I'm assuming if they receive a favorable, then they'll proceed. If they don't receive a favorable, the zoning hearing board, then probably have to be redesigned. So there are two. Let's see here, there are two items that they're requesting. One is the existing non-conformity for the existing house. So you all remember that this is a single family, and they're looking to subdivide into 3 lots. The 2 lots have access to the rear street. And so the first one is just interpretation on the front setback. The property is closer, so it is in violation of setback in the front yard. It's an existing non-conforming condition, but they're requesting a relief on that. And then the second is our ordinance does not allow parking to back out onto a street of a right of way with greater than 20 feet. And so they're requesting that variance so that they can back out of the parking spaces directly into Washington Street.
Well, I think when they initially came, there was a discussion on that front porch. And it's existing front porch and existing nonconformity, and I think everybody was on board with, we're good with that variance. That's the easy one, right?
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of discussion on the backing out of this onto the street.
Right. And I know the I believe the engineer had suggested about having the owners back into the parking spaces so that then they could pull out. I don't know how you would
Police that.
police that.
Right.
Right, and we talked about that before and how
Right.
to police that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So-
we had mentioned some signage indicating that as a requirement for the spots or something possibly. But I mean, unless you're on that site all the time, policing it is tricky. But yeah, to Kim's point, I think the first was fine. Like everybody was in agreement that it was, from our first discussion.
Yeah.
So we're all okay on first notes. It seems like. Maria, you good? Yeah.
Trying to unmute myself. Yes, the front porch was not as much as an issue back then as the backing out into the street. And even that we have talked about that maybe it was not such a busy street and that it could possibly be okay, but that's as far as I remember.
I know over the past 2 years when we talked about this, I thought we had been in agreement about trying to get that updated in the latest zoning update to allow for that, at least for like these smaller
Is for what, 20 foot?
projects.
So yeah, so it is allowed when the street is less than 20 feet. The concern is just when it's a wider street, you've got faster moving traffic, greater volume. Is it really safe to have people backing out into the street?
I mean, I think these types of driveways are sensible enough to do this for residential use. In our previous conversations, I don't think we were talking about like generally for commercial or where there would be a natural parking lot. I don't think that made it into the latest zoning ordinance update, obviously, or they wouldn't be asking for the relief here.
No, right, it was left in.
This is something I didn't want to do on a case by case basis for a 2-car driveway.
I think the issue comes in that if we remove this, then somebody could do this on Main Street.
Yeah.
You certainly don't want that.
Correct.
And I think there are other streets in the borough that would be inappropriate to have somebody backing out, onto a street. So this one happens to be more than 20 feet, so that's why it's kicking it into this variance request. I think
Is there
it's up-
parking both sides of Washington,
No, just on one
Just
side.
on one side.
opposite side
Mhm.
of the driveways?
Yeah, it's
I
on
think
the-
Yeah,
the
on
west
the other
side.
side of the city.
Yeah. So that's all.
So I think here it's one of those, obviously planning convention can weigh in if you want to, or you can just be silent on it.
Right.
And then it would be up to the zoning hearing board to really make a decision on if they feel that the safety factor is such that it wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I would choose to be silent on it myself. It's a zoning issue.
Yeah,
It
if it's their code, then
It's their
It's-
code.
It is.
Well, we recommend it. We write this and recommend it, and we've written recommendations to the zoning hearing board before, right?
Yes, you've written, correct.
And we write one for the first variance request, by choosing to stay silent on the second. It's their choice how they take that one.
In the end, it's up to their
It's
decision.
up to
on both.
them anyway.
Yes, correct.
Correct. And we all know that we have written our opinions on many things that they have not agreed to, so.
Yeah, I don't quite follow the first one for the porch, because it's there.
It is,
Didn't build
it's an existing non-conforming, but because they're subdividing,
It's a subdivision.
they need to, they technically should bring up to code the other property. So instead of, because obviously you can't remove the porch, they're just getting a variance to clean it up. So it's just paperwork wise, it cleans up the property.
Yeah, if they wouldn't have done anything on that, I did.
And then
Just
this
take
way,
it.
too, in the
Right.
future, if somebody wants to do repairs, they're okay to do that.
Subdivided, free owned.
But I mean, what's the difference? The house is still staying.
I agree, but.
But because they're subdividing it, it becomes a new lot essentially.
If the house was not set back far enough, you couldn't make a move the house.
No,
No.
no.
Well,
Just
I'm assuming they're gonna
Yeah.
you're gonna give them like, to. No, that's up to.
okay.
Robert? Are you okay with just staying silent
I would
on
stay
this? or you
silent.
want- Larry and Maria, are you in agreement on that?
We're talking about the backing out onto the road, staying silent on that one.
Actually, both of them?
Oh, both.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, because I mean, the first one to me is like a no-brainer, but because they were saying the house is there. It's not like we're gonna make it move it. But on the second one, I'm okay. I mean, it's part of zoning, so I don't have to have an opinion. It is difficult, I could say, especially like for example, for me here on Penn Street, even pulling forward out of the alley with cars parking in both sides and my car being low is really dangerous to be able to see fast moving cars. Now, if they have parking on the opposite side, maybe it's not as difficult, but it's not, it's not for us to determine how safe or unsafe that is. So.
okay. Looks like everyone is pretty much in agreement with letting the zoning hearing board decide that.
yes.
But we do have people in attendance tonight, and generally what we do here at the planning commission is instead of forcing people to come up and go ahead of the item up for review, if there's any comment on each particular item, we take it now. So is there anyone here in the Borough Hall that wants to make a comment on this particular issue?
I was just wondering where their driveway is. They can't, do a pave it over, that they pull in and do like a K thing, that they could back out of their driveway, K and back out. I don't know the property. I'm just saying.
So this is on
Between Maine and.
Main and Wall Street.
Maine and Washington. So essentially, it's just north of the CVS pharmacy.
Oh.
There's an existing twin that also has existing driveways similar. But I'm presuming that was built before the requirement was made to provide for turnaround, as opposed to backing in and out.
That was my only suggestion, if they had room to be able to put a little park on the side that they pull in, that they could, back out of the driveway and then, you know how some people do that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that has happened before. So there are two updates. One, we had required that, and we still require that. But there was an additional update recently where we increased the parking or off-street parking requirements from 2 spots to 3 for homes. So previously, they might have been able to do that by using the third parking space as the turnaround.
But they shot themselves in the foot, yeah.
Is there anyone online, Terry, with a comment or hands
Nothing
up?
in the chat and nothing on Facebook.
Okay, looks like we move on to the next item up for discussion, which is 110 Main Street, a site plan review for St. Luke's, proposing to convert existing Rite Aid building to a medical office. Who's going to be representing? Please come up to the microphone. You'll have to take turns, but just introduce yourselves for the record.
My name is Jen Peters. I'm the Senior Director of Real Estate at St. Luke's. My name is Mila Amin, and I'm a civil engineer with Remington and Bernick Engineers. Shall we sit here? Or shall we?
Please speak from the microphone, because when you have the backs turned to the audience, if you're not using the microphones, it's hard to hear in the room.
Understood. Understood. Thank you for your time this evening. Can you hear me? Lower that.
We can hear.
I'm rather short. Thank you for your time this evening. We're here for a site plan review for 110 Main Street, and this is the former Rite Aid, right in this on Main Street. We are very excited about this property. We have it under contract. Rite Aid has been in bankruptcy. I know that's very widely known in the news, all the Rite Aid locations. The primary focus here is for us to find a new home for St. Luke's Saucon Valley Family Practice, which is currently on Front Street. That's a very well-established family practice. It's 5 physicians are there, and we would plan to relocate St. Luke's Saucon Valley Family Practice. There's also an outpatient lab there, and we would also integrate an urgent care, which under the St. Luke's name, that's a Care Now. So the 3 uses would be housed in the former Rite Aid building. And this is essentially pretty straightforward because we like this site. We like the way it's configured today. The traffic flow, we would not be making any changes to the traffic access, which you can see on the site plan. There's currently traffic access on the northwest corner as well as on Main Street, 2 access points. We would not make any changes to we're adding some parking spaces because we don't need the drive-through, the pharmacy drive-through that's on the western side of the building there, which you can see on the site plan. And Mino can go through that in more detail. And then in the rear where they had where the previous was that main traffic flow was for the pharmacy drive-through folks who would be accessing on the northern part of the property. to go and wrap around the building. We would be, that's currently just the dumpster area and their loading zone. So that we're able to potentially fit some more parking spaces in there. And then also the landscaping, there are some dead trees. We'd like to clean that up. We take a lot of pride in making our facilities really look tip top and have a nice fresh appearance. And then the interior configuration, it does not, or fit for our needs. So we would gut the interior and fit that out for outpatient medical. And as I've already explained, this is outpatient primary care, care now, urgent care, and the lab. So normal daytime hours. The care now would have some extended hours into the evening, so till about 8 p.m. The hours would not be longer than what the Rite Aid has been over the years. So any questions so far before I continue?
Yes, I just had one. So will that be kind of like a throughway in the northern section? Will that be open to both streets still?
It would be, right.
Okay.
We would not make any changes to the traffic flow. And when I say any other than what I mentioned, where the drive-through on the western side of the property would no longer be a drive-through, there's
Right.
an overhang there.
Mhm.
Or folks, you pull your car into the overhang, that structure would be removed.
Okay.
But otherwise, the traffic flow around the building would remain the same. The parking configuration would remain the same. The southern part of the property, there's an island there that would remain the same. So no changes to any of the curb cuts, anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, it just kind of occurred to me that people might try to use that to cut through the stop signs and stuff like that, or stoplights. If it's like wide open now with no drive-through traffic or like pavement markings and stuff like that. So I'd maybe put some signage up. That's just my thoughts. Like no through traffic or something.
Certainly, we're happy to do that. We would add some, as I mentioned, some parking spaces there, but that's certainly a good idea to add some signage to make sure it's
Yeah.
clear.
I could just see people cutting through to avoid the light.
We do it now.
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
One single.
I had a question. Was the brick on the building gonna stay the same or just that? Plans on being painted or?
We don't have plans to paint it. There's some stucco sections that need repairs just from age. But the building is in good condition structurally. But we don't plan on changing the materials other than, as I say, making some just
That's good.
maintenance.
That's good, I like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe this question is for Brian. Does the change of use will trigger maybe looking into the parking capacity and the traffic generated by this other use as compared to the pharmacy?
So it does kick in as far as parking goes, but they still meet the requirement for parking.
That's cool.
If I could just add to that, the parking requirement is 5 spaces per practitioner and 1 per staff member. And we will have 14 total folks. And so that equates to less than what the total parking count is. And I know that's on our site plan, so I'll just reference that. We'll have 7 providers and the total number of practitioners will have 7, so that's a requirement of 35 spaces, and we'll have a total of 14 staff. So that's in addition to the practitioners, which equates to a total of 14 spaces needed. So that means we would need 57 parking spaces. And then with some of the restriping that I talked about, that would provide another 9 spaces. And so that's a total of 66 spaces.
Now your entrance will remain in the front, in that southern part, right? So is the parking spaces in the back maybe for staff, or like how how do you get people around?
That's correct. Those spaces in the rear would be for staff.
And you had mentioned that you're going to have the infrastructure to handle urgent care, but this wouldn't include overnight stay or anything.
Correct. This is strictly outpatient, so if you're familiar with any of our other urgent care facilities, it's walk-in, staffed by a physician or an advanced practitioner, and there's imaging. There are no procedures done there, like procedure spaces, like you might specialty care. That's not the case here.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just daytime hours only.
On the exterior of the building, there isn't a great amount of windows already there. Are you planning on,
They're high windows.
right, boarding any additional windows up or?
We were not, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
I think I heard you say there are windows higher up, and that's the case. Yes, we do care very much about sunlight. It's great to have nice natural sunlight in our facilities, and those windows that are up pretty high do provide some nice light. But we don't have plans to add more windows.
Well, the
No.
question was reducing.
To reduce them,
Yeah,
we were not planning on that.
okay. Yeah, I don't want you to.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Because generally, like, the medical building over here, we had an issue because it was in town center. It was required to have so much window for interactive space. Because like walkability and interaction with pedestrians. But obviously in a medical facility, there's privacy is one. And we don't want to see large area of like brick or stone or,
I
you know,
understand.
plain
Yes,
architecture
yes.
like that. So I was just making sure that there were no plans to close up what little is there already.
We were just lucky here.
Brian, do you have anything for your letter that you wanna?
No, I mean, as far as, general items, sewage planning, we have to go through that, with a mailer. Water supply, it is a change of use, so we just need to get something from the water authority, just saying that they're okay with, the change of use. Parking, obviously tabulations are fine. They're not really doing any structural changes outside, so it really doesn't impact any other changes. They have noted changes of trees. We did note that there are a number of shrubs around the perimeter that are part of the requirement for buffering. So those we would need to have replaced. So that buffer is there to shield headlights going into the street.
And we will absolutely comply with that.
Right. And then the other thing was just as far as circulation goes, it's my understanding you're not changing the circulation pattern that's currently there. However, by adding some parking at that kind of back entrance area, maybe look at just restriping a little differently and maybe adding a sign just to clarify that it's one way from Front Street around the building and not through that back area. Like we were just talking about. And then maybe the addition of the no through traffic.
Yes, thank you.
Are there any things about signage, or what kind of signage are you planning on?
So the signage would be required to be submitted to Terry for a permit for that, which would be separate from this review and approval. I don't know, Jen, you have anything you want to talk about just in general, what you're planning for signage?
Sure, so Rite Aid does have, the existing signage that's there is adequate for a commercial building, and we plan to replace that in kind, essentially. Have we put together the signage package or design yet? No, we have not, but I can tell you that, as I said, it will be similar size to what Rite Aid had.
Yeah, the only signage is on the building, right? There's nothing in the.
There
parking
there
lot.
is actually a monument that's out in the parking lot towards the corner.
There is a
That little
monument
one,
on the
yeah.
corner.
Yeah.
Little,
Well, not on the building, but it's on the one.
And then there are some directional signs, directing folks traffic flow wise. They're really rather small, and we would replace those with something similar in size.
And did I hear at the very beginning that this is to replace the other facility in town or in addition to?
So Saucon Valley Family Practice on Front Street, they are
Mhm.
bursting at the seams, basically. They need
Okay.
more space. And so that's been a primary driver for us to, when we went down the road with choosing this facility, is to relocate them from that one.
Okay, so this would replace that and then that would be available or go to sale or possibly?
We have not made any final decisions on the property on Front Street, but it's possible that we might sell it or lease it.
Okay, all right, just wondering. And Brian, this is, in terms of use for the zoning, this is an acceptable use and everything. It would just be a change of use, right?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
And that's what
So-
kicked it into the site plan review.
Right, okay,
So this actually is up to the planning commission to make a ruling on. So it kind of stops here.
well, let me ask, when you opened up for questions, I thought I heard you say so far. Did you have additional presentation to make?
Oh.
And
it-
did we preempt
I
anything?
just, whatever questions might come up. I don't,
Okay,
but
Did
thank
we kind of-
you.
did we kind of cover everything here? What? No,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, because we didn't have we had questions, but no internal discussion.
I don't have any more questions. I mean, I mean, it's an appropriate use. It's a building that's existing. I'd rather something be there than it be vacant when you enter town from the south. It's a hospital, it's a doctor's office facility.
Yeah, this is, I mean, for me, it's professional or medical offices is approved in the mixed district, so it's not like something that's adjacent to a use that we would generally have more discussion of.
Yeah, I'm just happy that we're keeping the structure somewhat the same, we're not demolishing it. Making a 3-story or 4-story building, especially with the residential setback. So, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, and it's just other than alterations to the parking, what else, or how much can you do with existing macadam? It's parking is going to remain parking.
and would any traffic analysis need to be done for the change of use or anything like that?
No,
Okay, we do have some audience.
My suggestion would be to let them take out those islands in the parking lot. They're useless. One is designed for one spot to go in and then they have to back into other ones. The trees always die there because there's not enough soil underneath. So my suggestion would be take those islands out and give them more parking.
Yeah, coverage.
So
Yeah.
I'll let
Yeah,
Brian get into
so-
the details of,
it's, the arrangement is odd, and it's just because it's an
Yeah.
oddly shaped space. And it otherwise meets all of the requirements for drive aisles, parking spaces. So that's kind of why it's arranged the way it is. I don't know if,
and also.
any other looks have been made at the parking arrangement, but I doubt it can be done any differently.
Because there's also a minimum number of trees for the size of the project.
Correct, yep.
I would put the trees around the perimeter and not in the parking lot, because they're just gonna keep dying.
Well, maybe they're gonna change the type of tree, so hopefully that will help. It makes
There's no
more
soil, the tree's not gonna live.
But also you have the issue that Main Street is a PennDOT road and, you can't put trees on those corners because you can't block the intersection, the view on the intersection, so you can't really load up anything and put them around. That's really for that, PennDOT will not.
So what are the replacement trees? I think out front.
Yeah, there's-
Sycamore.
There's a number of trees, they're looking to do a redbud, I believe.
Right.
Red buds?
So they don't get like super huge, but we actually have one Water Street right over here. They flower in the spring.
Yeah, we thought the color would be nice.
The ones that are planted on Water Street are almost all dead.
Yeah, there's one I noticed that had.
No, there's more than one. And they were planted 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
5 or 6, yeah.
Anything that's done from place, right?
Right, everything that's dead we're replacing. I can tell you we chose those specifically because we've had good luck with them. I'm not familiar with those trees. Now I'm going to look out for them, but at other St. Luke's facilities, we've planted red buds and they've done well and we get feedback on the color.
Yeah. It's a native tree.
Yes.
So to continue on this subject, even the ones on Main Street, with the weather we get, we typically see, I don't know if it's going to be more frequent or not moving forward, so many days without rain. At some point, these trees, depending upon the variety, the way to save them is to water them. Yeah. So that might be, other than spending money continuously replacing trees, just have that part of your infrastructure upkeep is, you're looking at 30 days. We've seen without rain, easy.
We can look at that.
Water.
We can certainly, yes.
And just a housekeeping note, if you could get Terry your name and address for the record.
Where these trees are too, where the trees are, maybe the dirt just needs to be better dirt, called dirt put in.
And we can look into that, yes. A lot of the grass is mostly weeds, so we might resod just to freshen everything up.
But like where
Yeah.
the trees are, maybe it was like clay in there.
I know they hadn't been
Yeah.
maintaining the landscaping all that well for some time. Yeah.
So. And Maria and Larry, before we move on, did you have any other questions or comments?
No, there was just a comment in the Zoom if people were looking to do a general public comment, I guess. That was all. I don't know if that's appropriate for now or if it's pertaining to this issue, but Megan Burns looks like she had a comment on Zoom.
What was it related? I mean, if it's related to this proposal, sure. Well, I don't see it here. I'm not.
Okay, she said no, just general for the meeting. That's all I had.
Okay.
I think that it's a good use of the building, and I like the idea that is, they're already here. They've been part of the community for a while, and they're just growing, and they're going to reuse a building that otherwise would be abandoned, and it's a large property on Main Street. So I think that it will be a positive to have them there. Especially if they're, going to upgrade some things for landscaping and the parking, and so I don't see any problem with the proposed use.
There are no requests for waivers or variances, so it's fairly simple. Okay. No, because this is site plan, we're gonna approve it tonight. Right.
Makes sense.
Unless you don't want to.
No, I did.
If we're okay with approval, we just need motion and a second. Oh,
I just want to say kudos. It's been a long time coming. I think we need a merger center in this town anyhow. The one for job, and I'm elated. So full steam ahead.
just remember to get the names.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan. Project number 3012225 on the November 7th.
Conditional.
Conditional approval on the very eyes at November 7th, 2025 letter as noted.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
So there's a first by Kim, second by Robert to approve the site plan for 110 Main Street. Project number 3012225.008. Conditional engineer's letter, November 7th, 2025. All those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? The ayes have it.
So I'll just write a decision just showing you got conditional approval. Who should I send it?
If you could send it to me, that would be the,
Do we have
most-
contact information? I
Yes.
can get it from them. Okay. Okay.
Also, we didn't get a copy of the review letter. So
Oh,
if we get a copy of that as well, we'd appreciate that.
Sure.
If you, just a Jen, please.
We have a copy tonight, you can give her. We have it.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, fine.
Yeah,
You never find us.
Okay, we'll get it to you.
Anything else?
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're excited.
Okay, next order of business is 700 Linden Avenue, Steel Club Phase 2. Brian, do you want to give a description of what we're looking at here? And
So this is or actually it's called phase 2 of Steel Club's development. This project is all within Lower Saucon Township, it is not within the borough. However, as part of the development, they are required to go through sewage planning. So you may recall a couple years ago, we discussed the Act 537 plan, which governs sewage planning for the borough. It also includes portions of the township. It's primarily being implemented through the city of Bethlehem because that's where all the sewer goes from the borough. So this project's happening in Lower Saucon. They're actually tying into the conveyance system that happens in the borough, which then, so their sewer will go through the borough's transmission system and then go to the same location in Bethlehem, so boroughs. Anytime that you're making a connection, you're required to do a sewage planning module. Usually it's a waiver, so it's just a letter that says, yes, you're within a known area for service for sewer, and there's adequate capacity. And so it's just a confirmation of capacity. Because this fell outside of that, they have to go through a couple extra steps with DEP. And so they require the borough to sign off on allowance of this conveyance through the borough. So they submitted this, the borough will be signing it. I just wanted the planning commission to be aware of it. The project that is going for sewage planning is it's a 13, 14. maybe it's 20.
47.
Yeah, it's maybe 27 units. They're all located within the township. They are also providing a second connection for the clubhouse. You may remember a couple years ago, maybe more than a couple years ago, they did present to us their overall plan. This does not include those later phases, which are partially within in the borough. So it's really just for your information, just so you're aware of it. At some point, they will be coming in front of us, I'm sure, for when they look to expand further on, and they'll have to go through the same process again. And at that point, obviously, the planning commission will be reviewing plans, make other additional comments at that point.
I had a question.
go ahead.
With them tying into the Hellertown's way, how is that metered? Because Hellertown pays for the meter going out. So this is gonna be an additional amount being put in. How does that get metered and separated?
So the borough authority is figuring that out. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it'll probably be based on water usage. But I don't know, that would be a question for the authority, so they're the ones that will be doing actual monitoring and metering stuff. I don't know if they're setting up a separate meter. for
Is
that.
that something we can question them like now? That they
No,
can
that
get
would
back
be,
to us?
this would be something we would take to the borough authority to figure out how they're gonna meter it. We can
Because
ask that
that'll be
question.
asked.
We can ask that question. sure.
Okay, yeah, I'd be curious how, what the plans are. Cause that, you know, affects all the citizens of Hellertown.
Larry or Maria, did either of you have any comments?
No, I don't have any comments on this project.
No, me neither.
So Larry, was the general comment on the meeting have? What was that specifically?
Oh, that was just somebody in the Zoom that wanted to talk before we dismissed, I guess.
Can they raise their
Oh.
hand to do so? So we can hear it?
Are you saying they left the meeting before?
No, I think they're still here.
Okay.
Okay,
They just want to say the,
Before we close.
before we close.
does Terry, do you have to get permission? Or are they allowed? They have access to,
If you're done with review and deliberation, I mean, the next item is new business, if we could take comments if you like,
Yeah.
for new business.
no, I didn't know if you, for Zoom permission, or if they could just.
Yourself.
I can unmute myself.
There you go.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Megan.
Hi, yeah, so I don't know if this is the appropriate time. I just know that this is a public meeting and I didn't see, public invited to be heard or an option for public comment. And so I just didn't know where in the sort of agenda public comment would fit. And if now is the time, that's awesome. I just wanted to, maintain order.
Yeah, generally, I know a lot of meetings are set up that there's public comment at the beginning and that people will comment on multiple different issues and it's hard to address. So we have just done it historically at the planning commission, allowed the public to comment at the end of each item so that it's always the same thing being discussed. If you have anything specific at the end that's not related, you can do that as well. So did you just have the general question of when to do it, or did you have anything that you'd like to ask?
I think my questions and comments would potentially fit under old business as it's in regards to an item that was discussed at the September meeting. I also just have general questions about, sorry, I used to live in Hellertown, I don't anymore. And I'm on my local city council out here. And so I just have general questions about how this is all working back home. So I will wait till old business to speak, but thank you.
Why don't you just go ahead?
Well, do we
Well,
want,
don't you wanna ask,
don't we need to ask?
yeah, let's ask the audience first. if they have any
Audience,
questions.
one
Steel
steel,
club.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you guys
So
have
we
any
can
questions?
present?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, all right, thank you.
I think they're here on a different matter.
Are
They're
you
not
here for the
on
Steel Club or?
No.
Oh,
They're
no,
on a
we're not here
different
for the
matter.
Steel Club. I thought we were done with the Steel Club. I thought we.
I don't wrap up.
we just want to make sure there's no one here that wants to talk about the steel club before
No.
we close it.
No, we are done with the Steel Club.
Okay, then I'll carry with you.
Carry on. Yeah,
Okay.
carry on.
Thank you.
So then we're done with that. There's no new business. The next item is old business.
Okay, then that would be.
Then just state your name for the record into the microphone.
Yep, no problem. My name's Doreen Burns. This is my husband, John Burns, and we reside at 1106 Easton Road. And we are here about concerns of a garbage enclosure that was approved at 330 Linden Street that is 6 inches from our garage. Our understanding was that it was to be approved on the north side of the parking lot, but somehow it got changed and now it is approved for the south part of the parking lot. And I was wondering how that came about or why that decision was made.
So one of the, I thought it was related to this. Wasn't one of the decisions conditional on getting an agreement with one of the
With the
neighbors?
So that was
Or
what
was
the,
that the
that was the
fence?
fence.
Or not? Okay.
And you are correct. I did get up the meetings from September the 9th, and this is how they read. There was also discussion regarding the trash and recycling bin relocation from the original location that was submitted. The commission emphasized the importance of finding an ideal location for the trash/recycling enclosure while considering privacy, maintenance concerns, and the need for clear sidelines in the parking lot. After further discussion, it was decided the best location would be to place it next to the residence garage at the southwest corner of the property, and a 2-yard trash dumpster and a 2-yard recycling dumpster be placed in the enclosure. The motion was made by you, Joe, and the grant to grant the partial fence waiver conditional on obtaining the easement agreement with the neighbors of 1150 Easton Road. We are 1106 Easton Road. Those people right here have nothing to do with that.
So that.
So
that-
he never came and got, yeah.
There's two separate items there. So the fence that is talked about with the other neighbor is actually a buffer that was required. It wasn't part of the fence included.
For 11:30.
They're 1130.
Oh, so-
Okay, we thought they were 1150.
So it's 11:50.
So whenever we go back for getting approval from us or discussing it with us, this is how it transpired. I was in my office, and on Thursday, a week ago, I heard some voices outside. I went outside, opened up the gate, and there was the said owner, Mark,
No.
and I mean, that's Sean Burke, and his engineer, discussing that they needed to move the fence that was there now back over against our garage, because this is, according to Sean, this is what was required by the borough.
I don't think we had any discussion about moving the fence along that garage.
No, it's the enclosure. So we have two
Well,
different
it's the
things.
enclosure.
So let's.
It wasn't
yeah,
a fence, and
Right.
now it's an enclosure for the garbage.
For garbage.
No, I understand that, but the enclosure that we were discussing was not, let's put it this way, the only fence we talked about were everything along Easton. The one at the garage was to put the enclosure in the existing parking area
Right.
alongside, adjacent to the existing fence that there is now.
Well, they moved that fence.
Okay, that's the issue.
They moved the fence and put it against the garage, where now houses 2 dumpsters and
Trash can.
and trash cans.
Right.
And the discussion was that that property stored their trash along that side of the garage, and that would remain. And the fence would be there, so they had a place for their trash, and then the
Right.
enclosure would be on the other side of the fence.
Well, there's no fence there, so right, it's just the
Well-
garage, yeah,
Right.
right. But they talked about how the fence or you store your trash adjacent.
No, I
to the
didn't store
garage.
my trash. I had a barrel there with grass clippings in it. Not my trash.
Our
Grass
trash goes out
clippings,
front.
Which
with
I
the
took to the
grass.
recycling center.
So the applicant presented that your trash was being stored adjacent to the garage. And so this would be adjacent to that.
Adjacent to it, not,
Not
Okay,
against it.
so the original
Well, it's not
fence.
adjacent, it's against. They
that's the
missed,
issue.
they missed the word adjacent. They kind of, superseded that. They tore down the adjacent fence that was there and then moved the
Enclosure.
enclosure against the garage.
so that's the issue, which I understand of it. Their frustration with that, because that's not what we.
Because we can't maintain, the problem is we can't maintain that side of the
No,
garage.
we get it.
Okay,
We
yeah.
assumed when they.
And I do have a solution if you want to listen.
Why don't you go ahead? Unfortunate, I think some of this is gonna be too late. We generally don't have authority to undo something, but if it was done incorrectly.
We can have them
we can-
redo, yes.
Okay,
But go, yeah. go
there
ahead.
are a couple violations the way it's done now. You cannot have a 2-yard dumpster within 10 feet of an adjoining property. The way it's set up now, they're like 7 feet away. And according to the bylaws, if there's 2 dumpsters there in a commercial, they have to be 15 feet away from an adjoining property.
And also the garbage enclosure should also have a gate on it. It should be completely enclosed, because right now some of the dumpsters are sticking out beyond the enclosure. And also, one dumpster was supposed to be garbage, the other one was supposed to be recycling.
Right.
At this point, there are 6 garbage cans inside that enclosure. Nobody's putting anything in the dumpsters, they're putting them in the garbage cans. Now, the garbage truck, the garbage attendants, they pull the dumpsters out, the garbage truck pulls it up and puts it in. They won't be taking those garbage cans and dumping them into the dumpster. That is the responsibility of the owner and the tenants.
And the other thing with the recycling, Mascaro is not going to go into this enclosure and wheel out a dumpster for recycling. So it's just getting filled with trash.
And there is no way for that truck, even if they wanted to back it into that enclosure to be able to pick up the dumpsters.
Right, they're supposed to roll out the dumpsters.
Yes,
So
because
there's
one of the arguments I heard when this got moved was there was a sightline problem for the truck to back up to the dumpsters if they were next to the building. They don't back up to the dumpsters get dragged into the alleyway and dumped.
Yeah.
There is no trash truck backing into the parking lot.
No,
No,
correct.
we agree.
Yes.
Yeah. that's-
And then one of the other things was it didn't want to be by the building because there was a sightline problem. So now, the way the enclosure is now, it goes beyond our garage. So when we back out of our garage, we have a blind side. That's a safety issue.
And not to be disrespectful, but I was just wondering if anybody from the committee here had gone out and inspected the area when the decision was made.
The plans that were provided to us did not show everything you're saying happened.
And that's,
So,
and that's disappointing.
right, so that's.
And I end up losing, I love this town. I've lived in it for 40 years. And the most disappointing thing about it is that I feel in my heart of hearts is that you've allowed somebody who doesn't even live in this community buy a piece of property and do this to somebody else's property that who's been here for 40 years.
Well,
That's
All
very
I can
disheartening.
say is we are not in the authority to allow people to purchase and sell property.
No, I
But-
understand that, but
but
you
based
do
on
make
what
the decision,
we-
yeah.
We're given
Mhm.
and our understanding, it doesn't sound like it was installed the way the plan showed it. But we have to look,
Okay,
relook at that plan.
Another question, so when this building was proposed, you guys approved the way the parking lot is lined, correct? That was your decision.
Mhm.
Right? So you approved a handicap spot with a telephone pole in it that nobody can park in.
Yeah, we do have a handicapped lady who lives there and she's now parking in the 15-minute loading zone because she can't pull her car into the a handicap parking spot because she can't get in and out because of the telephone pole.
The last plan that we saw, I thought flipped it to the other side because we brought up that same. concern.
Yes.
So they have not, that's one more thing. that
Because-
doesn't
And the
seem to
15-minute
change.
loading zone should be out front. The 15-minute loading zone should be out
In the
front
front of the building for the commercial.
why is
for the commercial,
15-minute
because if it
loading-
goes out front, then you can put the handicap spot where the 15-minute loading zone is. Where the handicap spot is, you can put where the garbage is, and then he gains where the dump, and he gains 2 more parking spots. That during the winter, people who now, some of the attendants, the apartment people are parking out on Linden Street. Whenever it comes snow, they'll have space now to move their cars off of that whenever there's a snow emergency. Right now, they do not. He has lost 2 parking spaces because of where he placed the dumpsters and the garbage enclosure.
Because I had a couple discussions with him.
Interesting.
His main thing was parking spaces. He needed parking spaces. So I don't understand how this was switched and he loses 2 parking spaces.
The initial, when they came back in, based on the handicap ramp and entrance. It was, they needed more space for the ramp to get in there, which cut out a couple parking spaces, which is why he came back in.
Mhm.
So that's what
Yeah.
precipitated the request, that's all.
The spot where the handicap is now has plenty of room for the
Nobody
dumpsters.
uses that.
Nobody
because
can use
the
it.
telephone pole. It's a shame.
So I can't see why the parking lot could not be reconfigured so that he gains 2 parking spots. And now the tenants don't have to walk all the way across the parking lot
For their garage.
for their
garbage.
trash.
It's a win-win situation in my book.
So the 2 spaces at the end, they never counted as part of. their
Right, it
parking
wasn't in the
requirement.
count.
It wasn't.
They're overflow.
They should be overflow and it should be counted because they really should use it for Linden Street whenever there's a snow emergency, because there is still one car that continually parks there all the
Yeah,
time.
police just had to come and sticker a car that hadn't moved in months.
Yeah, since they moved there.
Yeah, so that, none of the on-street parking was counted for this use, so all of the parking that's required for their use is within this back lot. Whether they choose to park on street is up to them,
Mhm.
cause it's public space and they can do that. So based on the ordinance, they provided just the number of spaces they needed.
Right.
Brian, I have a question. So what happens now if they did not do what it was according to plan or what they brought into us for the handicap parking or for the dumpster?
Right.
Is that something that can Terry, who could go over there, look at it and decide whether it's within the plan that was approved or not, and what could be done about it?
So we can review to make sure it's conforming to the plan as approved. If it is, then it is. There would be no way for the borough to go back and make them change it.
So when I write the site plan, we give Terry the authority to enforce. So it's in every site plan that Joe signs, site plan decision that Terry has enforcement powers to make sure that the applicant or the property owner has followed what he said he was gonna do. So yes, you can enforce that.
But if he hasn't talked to us first, whenever the way this was supposed to be, that he was supposed to talk with us about the easement, okay?
So that was actually with another neighbor. not with-
Okay.
That was the other.
So he contacted me 9 o'clock in the morning last Thursday. I met with him. He says the fence and the enclosure is going up tomorrow. That was my warning.
So why did the other people get the opportunity for the easement or to be discussed about where it goes and we didn't?
So in that particular matter, there was supposed to be a fence that he was supposed to erect between his building and the neighbor. And the neighbor and the owner discussed and they came up with an agreement not to put the fence in. And so as a result, they needed an agreement saying that they were okay with not having the buffer or the fence.
Mhm.
So that's why there was a discussion there. Otherwise, he was required and was gonna put in the fence. But the neighbor in that particular case said, no, I don't want the fence there. Let's go under an agreement, so we don't have to do that.
So we didn't have the right to say, no, I don't want the dumpsters here, so we can go into an agreement.
No, because as long as it's on his property, there's no reason.
Okay, but how are we gonna deal with the issues with how many feet a 2-yard dumpster can be from a property line?
Well, I'll have to look into that, see what.
We looked into it.
What section?
You can come out and measure it with a tape measure.
Do you know what section it is in the code that's?
No, I do not, no.
Well, Brian.
Yeah, we'll check into it.
check into it.
I do remember him saying that. The garbage for the neighbor was left by the garage.
Right.
And
He did say that.
yeah,
Yes,
I
specifically.
specifically remember that.
We've been to our home about 40 years. There is a space there beside our garage that our fence goes over and we've always been used that. We've used that space to go in and out of our back fence. That is a gate there to go in and out and is what it is. And
It's
yes,
my understanding from the owner of this property that fence is actually on his property and not.
It's grandfathered
it's
in.
grandfathered in.
So
That
So-
was part of that wrinkle, getting the agreement with the other property owner.
that was, no, nothing related,
That was
nothing
the-
related to this, that's separate.
Yeah.
But thank you for letting us speak and to give us, get some stuff off our chest.
So is there a chance the parking lot will be rearranged? Are you gonna leave a handicap spot that nobody can use?
How could that handicap have been ADA approved if it's blocked? I
So
don't see how.
there is space to get to it based on the plan.
Based
So
on the
we'll
plan.
take a look.
Yeah,
I don't know if
thank
they
you.
rent, if
Based
they
on
put
the
it in that
plan.
way.
Yeah.
You can only get into it one way. You
Question.
can only go in one way and back out
And that
one way,
person cannot get out of their car because
Yeah,
it's a telephone
because
pole
it's
there.
too tight.
Yeah, so.
That's why she uses the 15-minute loading zone. And I feel bad for her, that's not right,
See-
you know?
The plan, I also don't remember a 15-minute loading zone listed in that back parking.
I thought it was on the street.
It was on the street.
Yeah, it was on.
It was
street.
always in the street.
It was always on the.
It's on the
So I-
street because it's commercial.
So I don't
It's for a
understand
loading
why
zone for
they're
commercial.
marking it in the back also.
Oh, I don't know.
So that's something else we need to look at, is if they're marking one of those spots as a
Loading
15-minute
zone.
loading zone, they shouldn't
Yeah.
be, because it's
Yeah,
required.
there was
They
no
moved the
mention of a
loading
loading
zone,
zone
they
spot
moved
in the
it down
back.
a little bit.
Not on the property.
Yeah, they don't need it on the property.
I thought the one that was on the street, they moved down a little bit, or they took some space off that loading zone.
On the street
On the
they may
street.
have, but they shouldn't have put it in the parking
Yeah,
lot.
there was nothing discussed about it.
Yeah.
I thought that was gonna be removed because it wasn't like, it wasn't a building.
That's right, they were gonna remove it.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
The front door of that store was all gonna be
Yeah.
completely as one.
This would be like a waste of a space, especially in the loading zone for what, someone could park there.
I don't think there's anything marked on the front.
There was nothing marked on
No.
either.
Well, it was painted.
This doesn't look like there was anything.
The
marked
curb
on
was
the front.
painted, I think.
There was something with that they
It
were.
was yellow paint.
But they weren't putting it in the back parking lot, because they
No.
need those spaces
Yeah, yeah.
for their count. So yeah, there's some,
Yeah.
there's some stuff that Terry can go and look at
Okay.
and match it to the plan.
Okay, nothing against Terry. I know she took on this job. When I was dealing with all this stuff, you had an interim zoning officer from Barry Islet. The guy that was here before that I dealt with, he knew he was leaving. He didn't give a damn about anything.
It's not like we haven't been down here. and
Yes.
Bringing up some of these, these
Issues.
concerns. I'm just hoping that you move forward and take into your heart, as if you were living in our property, what would you want to have the best thing done for this community and for the residents that you present, that you protect.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We do have a comment from our borough manager that the loading zone should be revoked. It was a former commercial use.
Mhm.
Okay, but the front of the building is commercial.
Yeah, the front does have
The
a.
front of the building is a financial guy.
Okay, so we have to check that
We'll check that too, yeah.
that's done properly. One point that was brought up though,
Yeah.
Terry, that wasn't part of the plan. If there's trash being put into the recycling and that's not being done properly.
Yeah, trash cans cannot be in the enclosure. The enclosure is approved to be two-yard units, no individual trash cans.
But beyond that, they said that regular trash was just being put into recycling. So that's outside of Brian and
Yeah,
Michael, so Terry can check on that and then.
Individual trash.
Is
cans,
the approved.
So that they could get in, because they couldn't pack the garbage truck in there to get to a dumpster.
no, they were rolled out.
This was the approved plan.
Because I remember the roll on dumpsters and they're gonna be over in the building. They roll them out to the air.
They still would have done it the other one.
Where's the property owner?
Oh, I agree.
Yeah,
On the
They're all the way on the left. You
Yeah.
guys are all the way on the left.
Yeah.
yeah, the garage, you can see it's faded in on the far left.
Oh, so that's the garage, so that's where that is. I mean, if they move the fence where it was before,
Yeah, that's where it was before.
yeah, it was right along where the dumpsters are, so it was over. The original
According
fence.
to that,
And you're the existing building?
Yeah, that's their.
Yeah, that's our garage.
Okay.
yes.
So then they put that fence right there and the dumpsters, there's only 2 dumpsters there though. And then there's 6 garbage cans in the back. So,
I do remember the discussion that we had about the placement, and I believe you have like a patio space or a sitting space by
yeah, we do
the.
have a patio back
Yeah,
there.
I remember like
It's now
some of the
goodness,
final discussion was that it would not be good to have the dumpsters right there, like
No,
right
you're
there on
right.
the opposite. So the garage was kind of seen as the lesser of two evils between those two spaces, all the way in the corner, back right by your sitting area outside or adjacent to the garage, which was not, a sitting area for you. So I do remember that from the discussion.
I remember that. Yeah, good list, we're gonna check now.
Yeah.
Okay, just wanna make sure we have the list right, okay.
Okay, and let's check. Oh,
Yep.
I have another
Yeah. Why not?
one up.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, my name's April Gallagher. I live at 1130. I'm actually neighbors with Doreen and the Burnses, and I just wanted to bring your attention. I was at the last meeting, and they said that it might be beneficial to come to this one as well. Regarding the parking lot in the back, when it was a warehouse, they had a nice little ramp there when they would bring, it was a baseball bat warehouse, and they would back the truck up and do all their work in there. Once they removed that and they re-leveled that parking spot back there, I don't know what they did back there, but the grading of that parking lot now grades into our yard. We've lived there for 20 years and never have we ever had the amount of water after rain that we do this year, to the point where it has come into our yard, up to our garage, and come into our garage. We've sent emails, and we said that we even looked out getting, what are those things called again? A retaining wall. We were gonna get a retaining wall, get a new fence. When we first moved in there, you know, we were young. We were trying to even just get some grass thrown on our lot. It's a modular home. I guess the neighbor that had the warehouse in the back didn't like that we didn't have grass. He put up that fence there. That fence is wonky. It's half on that lot, half on our lot. It was half on the Burns's lot. It's a mess. That fence has been there since we were there. But anyway, we were gonna tear that down, put up a retaining wall. We got this obscene estimate for over $30,000, and they even said that that's not gonna hold up. That'll eventually degrade over time. So then somebody told us to get a French drain. We got an amount for like $14,000, and I said to my husband, why should we pay this amount of money for something that we've never had a problem with until they took that ramp away? And now this grading is literally coming into, making all this water come into our land, into our property. And now I'm worried with these dumpsters, you know, the rain, these dumpsters have holes in them. People throw their trash in it. Some of it's not even in bags, food, you know, kids have babies and diapers and garbage, and rats and animals get in it. And now garbage and stuff is gonna come into our yard. So, if anybody's looking into this parking lot, I'm wondering, can this be repaved? Possibly drains be put in there, but, with these dumpsters, we've also learned that if anything happens to our sewer, the dumpsters are, in a position where we will not be able to get to our sewer line. It's in over our sewer line.
Yeah.
Where the structure's put.
That is
The structure. So
Yeah.
that'll pose a problem if anything ever happens to our sewer. So
Yeah,
that's
the garbage
another.
Enclosure with
with
the
it.
dumpsters are over there.
Yes, yeah, there's an easement for that, so they
There
have
is?
access to it, yeah.
All right,
There's
okay. Okay, so, but the water on our property is a big issue for us.
Money.
And the lighting.
Yeah, and winter now, we have a big beautiful deck in the backyard, and now winter, we're not in it a lot, but in the summertime. I've tried to have gatherings, but once those lights come on, it's stadium lighting. It comes over onto our deck. If you're sitting facing the apartments, it is literally in your face. And it's just not nice. We have really nice lights in the backyard, the fire pit, little propane fire pit, and it's obnoxious. We moved to our garage now. Yeah, we have our cameras up, you can see.
So
I
since our last meeting, I did contact the owner about the lighting, and they have actually contracted with a lighting consultant.
Okay,
And so we're coordinating with them for them to
Okay.
submit a plan.
all right, thank you. I know I waited for your phone call and I was like, maybe he didn't get there yet.
Yeah, so I contacted the owner and they were out of town, so they
Okay.
would not give me permission to go onto the property.
Okay.
I
Oh, you
did
didn't have
send-
to. You could have called me. You could have came on my property.
Well, I needed readings from their property.
Oh,
so,
gotcha.
So I did go out to the site at night, I just couldn't get onto their property, so I
Alright.
did reach out to them and I mentioned the issue, and so
Mhm.
they've engaged somebody to come up with a new lighting.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to take them from my deck too, if you'd like.
Sure.
I'm kind of curious. But those were just my two things, the water and, we already have some uneven ground in our back and I really, I worry about sinkholes and
I had to re-level
our shed.
our shed,
Yeah,
so all the
so,
water that came in, it sunk it.
And
That's all.
you were saying when the ramps came out?
yeah, the ramp, there was one big ramp there for the warehouse, once that came out. You don't have to be an engineer, you can just walk out back there and you can see it literally,
If you're looking out our back deck,
Okay,
okay,
When the roof came down.
to the right is the building,
okay,
okay? So you picture that, there was a ramp that came all the way out, almost midway into the parking lot.
Mhm.
So that forced all the water to continue to go down past, sometimes it even came in between our house and the Burns's.
Yeah. it came
There's,
down from there.
there's a space right there. I even dug a little trough to go behind, in between the houses, so that's where it went. Now, since that's moved, all of the water comes from the whole alley. It comes down, it goes down there, it splits in the parking lot, goes all the way down, and there's two spots on either corner of our fence.
Yeah.
That now are washed out. I actually put those fancy bricks that you put around flower pots. I put those in front and put some soil, thinking I could stop it. It pushed them right down like it was candy. I have water, I have pictures of water that are on the bottom of my shed. I have water this high all along the house.
he did try to. Probably not the best thing to do, but he bought bags of soil when we knew it was gonna rain a lot and put them on the other side of the fence.
Yeah, and
And then they dug them up, and then we found out it was gonna rain again. And he went out one night and did it again, just so that we don't have water in our garage or, water
in the shed.
in a shed. Just, trying to save our house, that's all. It's just soil, that's all I kept telling myself, it's just soil, it's not like we're breaking any laws,
so.
we're not dumping cement.
Right. So the ramps, the ramp that was there was either helping the water flow.
Yeah, it was
out
flowing
or
out.
letting-
Right onto, that's you guys lived off of Thomas.
We're on Thomas.
Thomas, yeah, it would literally just, it would either go between our house or push it all the way out towards Thomas.
Yeah.
If
Mhm.
you go on Google Maps and Google that property, it'll bring it up, because I have pictures I screenshot from it.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
that's
have
what
it.
I'm looking
That's
at
what we
right
did.
now.
Yeah.
And that's
They
what
dug
I
that all
was,
out, they used concrete. Hilligus did it, I know who he is, he comes over, I see him all the time, he did my sidewalk. They knocked it all out, but then they never graded it correctly, it just, you could stand at the top of the hill and look, it just goes.
where it should be going out to Park Lane.
It should,
It should
it
hook
should,
to
it should,
the-
yeah,
Down to the.
either that or a trough that it goes down in. Because now I get it from the top of the alley that comes in Linden, comes around the alley and comes down, and it's not a little water,
It's a long
it's,
thing.
it's like a waterfall.
That's all. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. And thanks for the St. Luke's. I'm excited. I'm hoping it doesn't take long to build.
Yeah, me too.
Didn't have much rain also.
Okay, I think we'll check back with Megan. Are you still online?
I am, thank you. Yes, okay, so thank you so much for having this meeting and taking the time. I just have some procedural questions and then, just some questions about this. So when y'all were having, this discussion, was there any kind of notice to the neighbors about this discussion and the change of properties to discuss with them? Or any kind of notice to the public?
The notice to the, hi Megan, this is Mike Corey. The notice is that we advertise our meetings. There's no requirement in the MPC for personal notice to go to surrounding property owners like it does for zoning. So the notice is, it's on the web page. The agenda's on the web page every night, plus it's advertised in the newspaper. And people submit their plans, because the difference is this is just a property owner developing their property. So the MPC doesn't require more than advertising the notices and putting them on the webpage for the public's knowledge.
So, okay, that's super helpful. Thank you. And then, so then from a commission, when do your agendas go online for the public to view to know what you're discussing?
I think, well, at least 24 hours before, probably around 24 hours to 48 hours before, I would guess.
Only 24 hours?
I don't know, Terry can answer.
We tried to post them the Friday before the
Yeah.
following week's meeting.
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you. And then so so I guess then, so in regards to the ordinance, obviously my name is Megan Burns. I'm at 10472 Washington Way, North Glen, Colorado. And then so from the ordinances my parents discussed around the dumpsters being so far away from our property line. So it looks like, you know, from the images on the screen, I can see like the, you know, the pens, it looks like there's supposed to be posts. And then I can't tell, it looks like there's a fence, but it looks like there's way more than like 6 inches there in the proposed plan. And I would just love to know like the scale or sort of like what I'm looking at here.
This plan versus the other plan. You see this, the difference to the plan? That's been brought up?
Got 2 dumpsters.
That shows 2 dumpsters and the cans versus the 3 dumpster one that we have. I don't see the whole plan, so I don't know
Yeah.
the date.
That would be good. Dumpsters and garbage cans right against the building.
Date is at the top.
This one is September 8th, 2025. With the 2 dumpsters and the roll-off containers.
Brian, what was the date on the 3 dumpster version?
That's, I don't know, Terry, is that?
The 3 dumpster version plan. That date was September 15th, 2020.
So it looks like the owner of the property is going off a earlier plan than what was approved, from what I'm seeing.
That's a September date.
They're both September.
They're both the same date, right?
That one's the 15th, one's the 28th.
Correct.
So it looks like both of these then would be after the meeting y'all approved this on.
Yeah, and that's what we have to get our engineer, our council to check into is what they put onto this property, and whether that was actually part of the approved plan or not.
That's right, that's we have to check.
Okay, so that all sounds great. So then, so when this was proposed, did city staff do any presentations for y'all about the plan and how this came to be?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
So did you have any of your city staff look into this, or what is the process if they presented a plan that was it clearly happened before this one, these 2 that we're looking at, right? Because your meeting was on the 9th. That's what the minutes show. So did city staff send you these updated plans, or sort of what was the internal process here?
So the applicant actually came to the borough staff essentially requesting a change from the location that was on the original plan to have the dumpsters up near the building. When they came, they proposed to relocate them to where, similar to where it's shown on this plan. We could not approve that as staff, and so it came back in front of the planning commission.
Was that in the October meeting?
That was in the September meeting then.
So but these plans are dated after September 9th, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, they were updating the plans based on the comments from the planning commission, so they would follow that meeting.
Okay, and then so y'all didn't have a second vote to revisit or approve the updated plans?
No,
I'm just
this-
asking because the October
Correct.
minutes are not online. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so it was the plan updates were based on the discussion from the September meeting.
Okay, and so, and then that, and so then from an approval process, that was just like, yes.
Right, it's already been approved by the planning commission.
Yeah, I
Even
think
though
if we-
even though they had to make changes.
Well, the changes they made were based on the discussion comments from the planning commission.
I think technically, Brian, Megan, hopefully this is a better answer. When we approve a plan like this or recommend approval, it's usually conditional that they do something. One of those conditions for this would be that they make changes to the plans per our discussion in the meeting. So that's why you would see like the date would be later on the plan itself.
Correct.
Oh, that's right.
Uh,
That's
right.
standard.
They're supposed to follow the motion that we make for approval.
Right.
And the conditions that we set with that approval.
Correct.
So, yeah, from your point of view, it looks, we had the meeting and then later on, there's a plan dated later.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it's reflective of the discussion from the meeting.
Right.
And we also issue a site plan decision that I prepare and Joe signs, which sets forth the conditions they have to meet.
Yeah, I'm trying to answer like why Megan's not seeing what you would expect, right? A timeline.
Sure.
They presented a plan, we had a meeting, we
Right.
had an approval.
And there is a timeline on this drawing, I believe, right? I don't know what the earlier. Yeah, there
So
was
I
presented at the meeting, but I don't remember. I don't have that.
Did
here.
that make some sense or confuse you
it,
more?
it does it does make sense, and I think you sort of proved my point because they were supposed to do something, right? Like you are hinging on a supposed to, as opposed to, I guess, like, government, everyone, we joke, moves very slow, right? And I'm very familiar with this process. And so I think like what I'm a little bit hesitant about, and maybe this is something because I believe, Mr. O'Donnell, do you also sit on city council?
Yes,
Are you the liaison to this commission or do you sit on both?
I sit on both and function as liaison.
So you have voting rights on both council and the commission?
That's correct.
Interesting. I guess like I just feel like if there were changes to be made as the planning commission, y'all should have the final say and approve final product, not a supposed to and not drawing, I guess, is how I feel like all of this would have been prevented had that process taken place.
Well, just to clarify on that too, so there's two things. If we have a land development plan, this is a recommending body. If we have a site plan, which this was, we're the approval body.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
And so you guys approved the concept of a plan, correct?
The concept
No.
of a site plan.
No.
Yeah.
We approved a site plan with conditions,
Yeah,
not
right.
not a concept
Right.
of.
Yeah, right.
Right.
With agreed upon.
Okay.
With agreed upon and
And-
legally signed for conditions.
Right.
And now what the discussion is with everybody here is whether those conditions
Were
have actually
being done.
been met.
That's right. That's the issue.
Okay, yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
Right, but the issue, but do you hear, do we hear like we're talking about have those conditions been met when the work's already been done? When this could have been, like, I feel like there's an interim step that had been missed.
Well, once they get approval, they're allowed to make the change. They're allowed to make the changes.
Okay,
Yeah, and if.
Thank
the
you.
work- If the work is done not in accordance with the approval or the conditions, we can make them redo it to
Right.
those conditions.
Right, so that they,
Right.
right, so if they did it wrong, then the borough has authority to make them do it right the right way, whether that's moving it or doing whatever needs to be done to make it comply with. what we approved. So yes, that's true.
okay. Thank you so much. So our next steps then would be to have someone go out and look to make sure that everything is in accordance with the finally dated plan, and then we will go from there.
That's right, yeah, we got it.
And that gets back to your previous question about staff involvement. That's Brian, our engineer, Terry, our zoning officer, Mike, our solicitor, working with our manager will be looking into this.
Okay. Awesome. We look forward to the next meeting and posting. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan.
Is there anyone else online, Terry?
No, there's no additional comment on Zoom or on Facebook.
I just had one real quick reminder, that, there's the, Lehigh Valley Awards Gala is December 3rd. And Hellertown has been nominated as a community of distinction. I know several staff members are planning on going. I'm gonna plan on going as well. And I think everybody got the invite in your email if you're on the same email chains as I am, for that kind of stuff. So just throwing it out there. Nice to make a showing, I think, if people are interested in that. And yeah, that's the December 3rd. So that's all.
It's at the Hotel Bethlehem.
Yeah, fancy, right?
Yeah. And at Christmas time.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think Kathy's gonna go, possibly a couple other people on staff. So, and it is awesome that we were nominated as a community of distinction. So good work, everyone.
All right, thank you, Larry. There's also, under old business, there continues to be a planning commission vacancy. Currently, we're asking residents of Hellertown if they want to serve on the planning commission. Send your name and qualifications or interest to the borough, Terry or our manager. The vacancy open currently is the remainder of a term. It's approximately 2 years left. Rolling over into the new year in January, likely with turnover, there'll be another vacancy perhaps. That's why we're trying to get your names and so if
Thank you.
there's any interest out there, please get your notification or letter of interest to the borough.
Someone contacted me in the community, Joe, and I forwarded them to Kathy.
Okay.
So
Any other announcements? I think all that's left is motion to adjourn.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, first by Dawn, second by Robert, motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.